talk briefly to two, and then spend a little bit more time on the third. The first two, you talk about batteries, a great example of the military's program on operational energy. There's operational energy in the military, there's an operational energy manager, a guy in the Pentagon whose job it is to manage programs in operational energy, and there's institutional energy manager who manages programs that deal with our garrisons and posts in the States or overseas, but institutions that we establish where troops live and work. But operational are the guys that are out kicking doors down and taking rounds in IEDs in Afghanistan, and how, as Colonel Knott talked about, how it's particularly critical to give them the ability to do their operations, but it's also very dangerous to take that energy out into the field. And to bring that energy to what the military calls the last tactical mile. Advanced batteries are at least a partial solution to that, and the technology is still developing. So it's both promising and problematic. Promising in the sense that if we can find a way to make lithium-ion batteries have an incredible amount of storage capacity, and their durability is getting better. Anybody that's involved with the Dreamliner story knows what's going on with that. But I mean, of course, they are a technology that's still being developed and still being. There's a lot of work to make it smaller, to make it more durable, and we got a long way to go. The problem is we don't make it here. We don't make lithium-ion batteries in the United States. And sometimes it's made by friends. Okay, we don't need to name names here. But we do need to realize that it's not made in the United States. So the research and development cone of this, the cluster that does research on advanced lithium-ion batteries, is not in the United States. That's a problem, because do you think they have the same priorities that we do? They're making lithium-ion batteries by spec, by specification from their clients, from their customers, and we're just one of them. So we got to stand in line. I argue that's a problem. So lithium-ion batteries, big deal in operational energy. It will revolutionize the way we supply our troops in the field. Long way to go in the technology. We got to figure out how to bring it back ashore so we can control the research and development of that thing for our national security purposes. Smart grids. Smart grids are something I think you're probably working on here, and it's got promise not just for our economy at large, economy being the bedrock of national security to start with. So please continue to work on smart grids for the larger community, because it helps all of us, but smart grids for the military. And you can apply that either to our overseas bases or our bases here in the United States, which, as we know, are subject to all kinds of problems associated with everything from cyber hacking to natural disasters. We've got to make sure that our military forces have the ability to continue to operate, and one way to do that is to develop smart grid technology. So hugely important for national security, and I think we typically think about smart grid, oh, we got to have that for the civilian community. We really do, but we also really need it for our military so we can conduct operations. And the last one, and this is my favorite, perhaps the most problematic, fusion. Wow. Wouldn't it be cool to wake up in 30 years, and I hope I do, wake up in 30 years and be able to not worry about where your energy is going to come from seawater. And you're more familiar with this technology perhaps than I am. I had the privilege and opportunity to visit Dr. Ed Moses, who's the head of the National Ignition Facility at Lawrence Livermore last year, and it was like, there's a reason his last name is Moses. He is leading us to the promised land. That's his real last name, okay? But I mean, the National Ignition Facility had a goal, and this is where the problematic part comes in. The National Ignition Facility had a goal of achieving ignition, which is producing more energy than is lost by the process of actually doing the process. Achieving ignition last September, and they didn't get there. And unfortunately, they decided, and this is where the real problematic part comes in, they need investment in fusion. And Lawrence Livermore's not the only ones. There's a lab at Princeton that's a very, very intense competitor. There's also work being done in New Mexico. The United States is a partner in the ITER in France. So there's a number of approaches to fusion, but I think I'm speaking to a group of people that know that that fusion offers almost limitless possibilities for energy, and it's clean. It doesn't produce the same. In fact, you can take Fusion reactions can actually consume fission products, and so you don't have the nuclear waste problem. So it's safe, it's clean, and ultimately you're using seawater for energy. You can, and I'm not going to get into a bunch of the metrics here because I realize I'm talking again to masters, but fusion is on the horizon. The problem is we need to have investment, and I know there's some discussion going on in the administration about designating a fusion czar, so to speak, because we need to really focus and really bring the program together. We need perhaps high energy is not quite the right term here. We need a high energy program director for fusion to coordinate our investment in these programs. And I have to say too, although Dr. Ed Moses is somebody I know and respect, if he can't deliver fusion and Princeton can, let's focus on Princeton. Here's the other danger, the other reason that fusion is problematic. Not only are we working on it, China's working on it, Russia's working on it, South Korea's working on it, and they could get to ignition next week because they're not always telling us. Although the community of scientists, I've learned, is a better. There seems to be more horizontal communication among scientists than there is among military people. But the community of scientists knows pretty much that these programs are going on, but they don't. But the actual details of some of the programs themselves are not as well known. So let's imagine that country X develops fusion technology. Guess what? We're going to be buying fusion technology from country X. We've lost that leadership. We hopefully it'll be us. If it's not us, we hope it's a real good friend, because then we'll have the same problem or a similar problem that we have with our fossil fuel technology.
Right. I want to